Welcome back, everyone. And if you're just joining us, my name is Marco Pignataro. I'm the managing director for the Berklee Global Jazz Institute, and extremely pleased and thrilled to present the last presentation of today, Culminating Experience, for the class 2020. It's been 2 amazing days of beautiful presentation, and you'll see how great this one is as well. And I'm very pleased to present our last students, Minnie Jordan, and welcome again as a committee member for Minnie, Maestro Alan Mallet, and as advisor, Maestro Alan Chase. I would like to give a couple of notes about Minnie. And wait, I had the biography right here. And Minnie Jordan's jazz fiddling combines contemporary jazz with Texas country roots and mixes bluegrass influences and classical training into the magic melting pot on modern improvisation. She dives deep into stylistic authenticity in all the genres she's passionate about, while allowing her myriad influences to inspire brand new sounds. And sounds beautiful, but I want to add to this beautiful presentation of Minnie's that Minnie's been part of our family for the last 3 years. She's been part of the Global Jazz Institute since 2017. She went to the preparatory year with her fiddle always carrying on her shoulder, and then went to the upper level, and now she's completing her master, and it's such a joy and a pleasure to finish with you, Minnie. And I would like to also say the name of your presentation, Avian Voices, inspired by Imperiled Soundscapes, advocating for nature music. Is that correct? Did I say correct? Musicians. Right, musicians. Sorry. I cannot read my own writing. So Minnie, welcome, and you're ready to start.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I see so many familiar faces. So thanks for coming. All right, here we go. Here we are at the end of 2020, and a lot has happened since last September. We've witnessed the Amazon, Australia, Siberia, and the American West go up in flames. Extreme weather, hurricanes, typhoons, cyclones, floods, and drought has affected millions. We're in the middle of a global pandemic which has claimed 1.65 million lives worldwide, with 308,000 of those deaths here in the US. Social unrest and upheaval has shaken countries around the world, and the US has arguably experienced the most divisive political rhetoric and widespread societal turmoil in 50 years as we reckon with our shameful history of racism and police brutality. And in the face of all this, I am asking you to lend an ear to my music and a fragment of your attention to birds. Perhaps we take them for granted. Perhaps the news a few months ago of a massive die-off of songbirds in the American Southwest. Hundreds of thousands of birds inexplicably dropping dead, some straight from the sky, their bodies littering the fields of Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, all this way south to Mexico, got swallowed by the constant barrage of disaster we are fed by the news cycle. But consider a moment. The problems facing birds, climate change, pollution, pesticides, habitat loss, extreme weather, invasive species, are problems our species faces as well. Not only this, but these issues reinforce the systems of inequality, poverty, and racism which plague our society. Marginalized communities are the most affected by natural disasters, pollution, and environmental degradation, and have the fewest resources with which to recover. Birds are the canary in the coal mine of ecological disaster, and we would be wise to listen to them. If we don't care about the world we live in and the people who inhabit it, we won't make it better. We won't listen, and we won't learn. We as a species cannot exist in isolation. If there is something this pandemic has shown us, it is how much we are at the mercy of organisms outside ourselves and how fragile our health and our society really is. Yet, rather than reminding us of how much we are still a part of a global ecosystem, I fear that it has isolated many of us further into a technological bubble. Which is why I entreat you. Go outside, find some frogs, some birds, some crickets. Take a moment to really appreciate the beauty in lives that aren't human, to hear the music and sounds we can't create. Listen to the sounds of the world. Listen to the mating songs, the flirting songs, the sounds of fear and pain and death, of joy and birth, of hunger and loneliness, of contentment, love, and hope. We're all struggling in the same beautifully imperfect and perfectly incomprehensible world, and I think we're singing about the same things. In the following presentation, you will hear 5 compositions inspired by birdsongs and natural soundscapes. In order, they are Mayday Midday, the Myrtle Warblers, Summer Song, Mayday Morning, and Mayday Frog Song. I hope to use these compositions to raise awareness about the problems facing avian life. I also hope, in the future, to present a series of concerts benefiting the Great Gull Island Project and other bird conservation projects. Thank you so much to all the friends, mentors, and musicians who inspired me and helped me in this project, both by playing and advising. Thanks especially to Alan Chase and Alam Malay for their patience and advice, and I'm always grateful to our directors Danilo Perez and Marco Pignataro for their presence and for making this institute what it is. And finally, thank every one of you for listening.
Dun, 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 ba, ba, ba. forest filled with song, golden voices grace the breeze. But this year the summer seems to stay too long, and the leaves won't leave the tree. The myrtle warbler's late this year, and I miss his melodies. In this wood once rich with bird song, all I hear is music of my memory. A sunny summer's morning sings a song of hope and love and longing. Dreams and hearts take wing, flying ever higher. The sunrise sparks a symphony of beauty and desire. The cloudless sky now fades to chalky white. The birds have fallen quiet. The creek beds cracked and dry. The fish have long expired. The wind brings dust and ashes with the smoke of summer fires. Yesterday fades quickly and tomorrow isn't real. Today's all we know, the joys and sorrows that we feel. We will hope and pray for rain, fly and fall and hide and run. But tomorrow can't be trusted and we can't escape the sun. The sunset brings its way to ashy night. The stars compete with street lights. Some won't wake to see tomorrow's golden dawn. The singers change, but somehow still the song must still go on.
Birds are disappearing. But what does that mean for us? Let's look at diclofenac. Diclofenac is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, not unlike ibuprofen. In the early 1990s, it became widely used in veterinary medicine across India, Pakistan, and Nepal. Diclofenac is deadly to all species of European vulture. As vultures fed on the carcasses of animals treated with diclofenac, their numbers plummeted. Up to 99% of all India's vultures disappeared between 1992 and 2007. In 1980, India was home to an estimated 80 million vultures. Today, there are fewer than 20,000. This has hurt India's economy and triggered severe public health problems. Fewer vultures means more carrion. More carrion means a population explosion in wild dogs, rats, and other vermin. This is thought to be a major factor in the high number of rabies deaths in India annually, an estimated 25 to 30,000. A 2006 study estimated that at that time the use of diclofenac had cost India 50,000 lives and $34 billion in increased rabies treatments and deaths alone. More dogs and more carrion leads to increased water pollution and waterborne disease. These factors have also affected the most fundamental levels of the leather and animal byproduct industry in India. The impoverished people who scavenge the hides and bones from cattle carcasses face increased health risks associated with incompletely devoured carcasses in competition with wild dogs. In 2007, India banned the use of diclofenac in livestock, and the surviving vulture population seems to be stabilizing. This example has been comparatively well documented, and it should serve as a warning, because diclofenac is only one of the poisons which has been introduced into our ecosystems.
Smile, Minnie, smile. This is wonderful. Congratulations. Such a beautiful creative work. And I would like immediately to have your committee member, Alan Malay, or your advisor, Alan Chase, deliver a comment or a question to you.
Alan Chase, you start.
Alan needs to be muted. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I didn't have permission to unmute myself, but now I do. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. It's a wonderful project. A beautiful thing about this project is I've heard the music and I've heard it develop week by week for a while now, and every time I hear the music, it sounds even better to me. I mean, it's just beautiful and moving. And I think this project is very important in raising awareness of a very specific aspect of how climate change and other environmental concerns are really threatening the world we live in and ourselves. I love how you express the combination of compassion for animals and our own self-interest, if you can put it that way, you know, that this is not just that it's going to harm humans, and the very specific examples that you give are very they're shocking, you know, and I think this works to raise awareness. It's raised my awareness about something that I thought I already knew something about, but I didn't know a lot of things that I learned from this project. The music is beautiful. I want to say all the students I worked with have responded to this unfortunate lockdown and pandemic response that we've had to go into for the last 9 months with creativity and perseverance and good humor in spite of the difficulties. I feel like this, I want to just highlight how you responded to it, Minnie, that I feel like this was definitely not what you planned on. And as much as anyone, I mean, everyone in this program is really committed to interactive, live, human, you know, creative playing in ensembles and in real time. That's a lot of what global jazz is all about. But you, maybe as much or more than anyone, I feel like this is where your heart is as a violinist and band leader and composer, and yet you made beautiful music, technologically, creatively, in a variety of ways. I mean, and really challenged yourself. The compositions are beautiful and varied, and the string quartet. I'm supposed to ask you a question instead of just praising, but I do want to congratulate you on all of that. I touched on a few of the things. And it's been really a pleasure to work with you on it. So question for you I would ask is, do you feel there are ways in which your playing has grown through and in spite of this difficulty? I mean, you've done, for example, like you always went farther, like you do a take of a solo and I'd say like, yeah, that's great. And you'd go like, yeah, I'm going to do a better one, you know. 98% has never been good enough for you in this. And so you must have grown as a player even through this remote difficulties that we're in. But I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much. And thank you so much for helping me with this project, because I think that I don't know if every advisor would have been taking it with quite as much enthusiasm as you did when I said, I'm going to change every single arrangement and spend 48 hours cutting up National Geographics and then draw everything with chalk. But you did respond enthusiastically to that, and it made all the difference. But yeah. So I do think my playing has grown, and I've been trying to recognize that, because the pandemic definitely meant that even though I maybe have more time to practice, I haven't somehow found the will to practice quite as much, or the drive has been hard for me to keep up sometimes. But In a way, it worked out really well because I managed to get lessons with Julianne Lee for that last semester. And something I'd been noticing recording myself was that I really needed to work on some fundamental things like tone and intonation, and really like being solid and precise with what I was doing technically. And I don't know if I would have come to that realization as quickly if I hadn't been recording myself so much and been under a kind of a time constraint and not been able to do unlimited takes, like having to have to be able to get it done by tonight. Um, that the spring semester the spring semester was a lot busier, and I definitely did realize I needed to work on those technical things, and I do think that has really helped, especially since I was able to study classically for the last semester. I don't know if I would have realized I needed that if it hadn't been for the online aspect of things.
Thank you. Yeah, great points. And congratulations to all the musicians you collaborated with, to your sister Ella and the members of the program and the string quartet people. Great playing all around. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to thank Ella too for helping me cut out the birds.
We'll talk about Ella soon. Don't worry. We'll bring her to this conversation soon enough. Alain, you muted.
Yes, yes, yes. Sorry. Boy, it is so. I don't know how you manage this, but you managed to do something that is simultaneously just really powerful and really cute. And I'm not, and I'm not even sure how that's possible. And not cute in. Maybe naive is everything about it is just so pure and has the collages. I mean, it's nothing is more childlike than the assembly of pictures that you find in a magazine or in a book, and that you put together, and then you create this film. I mean, there are so many more modern techniques to do this, and you just did it the old-fashioned way, and I think that makes the presentation that much more powerful. Would you agree? You can just nod if you're aware of the fact that was a big part of the impact of or you can just shake your head if you disagree. But anyway, I'll go on. That is just incredibly poignant, and I want to touch on two things. One is something that Danilo said yesterday. He was talking to Dan Albert, and he said, you made me a better mentor. And I think I shared with you the day when I was sitting outside between one of our, in the middle of the week before one of our sessions. And I heard these birds conversing with one another. This bird chant. One was directly above my head, and then I noticed that one was answering that must have been blocks away. And I realized that I hadn't noticed that in ages. And probably the only reason I did was because of our weekly interactions about birds. And I started thinking about this as it was happening. And what's a more direct and immediate musical experience than listening to birds? I mean, from a melodic standpoint, there's a lot of music out there, but from a melodic standpoint, what is more direct and available to everybody than birds? And somehow I had forgotten about this, and you managed to remind me of that, and that was a beautiful thing. And the other thing that I wanted to touch on, and I just be aware that as I'm doing these things, as I'm talking about what you guys do in your presentations, I'm also very much aware of the style of every person, and I try to think of what Danilo might say, or what Joe Lovano might say, or what Marco might say, and I'm trying not to tap on, touch on the same subjects. But I want to say something. I want to piggyback on what Alan Chase just asked about, because I play the piano, as you know, and I've always considered the piano to be the easiest instrument in the world. In other words, the first time you sit at the piano, you play one note and it sounds like that note. You don't have to know what that note is. It just sounds that way. And it, unless you're playing with your fist, you're probably going to get a pretty decent sound out of it. And the same cannot be said of the violin. So when you're playing the piano, getting into improvisation, there are a lot of things that you don't have to worry about. One of them being intonation, tone, another one is tone, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm very much aware every time I'm working with a violin player, for instance, that while I was sitting down and already improvising after my first, the first time I sat at the piano, you guys are still trying to spend the first 2 or 3 years of your life trying to figure out how to get a tone that doesn't make every dog in the neighborhood out, et cetera, et cetera. So when I hear somebody improvise on the violin, I'm always very conscious of that, because it takes just, you can't just get into it. There are so many things that you have to have figured out before you do this. So when I hear you solo the way you did today, and by the way, I've had you in class, so I know, like the sound that we're getting through Zoom, for instance, and the poor quality recordings that you were able to achieve, they don't always do justice to your tone and to your sound. But I've also worked with Ella, who's directly below you on the screen, and I know that it seems to be like a Jordan sister thing, to be kind of to have a lot of self-doubt and I want to reassure you that you guys are okay, because you're doing marvelous things, and yes, thumbs up, Ella, and you are truly a very engaging musician. I thank you for putting together something that brought me back to a place of to a naive state of mind that I hadn't maybe that I've gotten too far away from at times, and yes, so I will echo Danilo's sentiment, and I would say that you make me a better teacher by being who you are. So thank you for that.
Wow, Alon, thank you. Wow. Wow. I love that story about the birds. That's the best. It's the best thing you could have said. That makes me so happy. It really does. I hoped that someone would get that out of something I'd written. So yeah.
Thank you, Alan. I would like to acknowledge the presence of the chair of the string department and big friend of the Institute, Dave Wallace. And this is out of the formality of it, but since you're here, Dave, and since you've been supporting Minnie so much, I would like for you to say a couple of words if Jennifer can unmute you for. Okay.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Minnie, congratulations. I mean, I don't think everybody knows, but I think I met Minnie when she was about 12 years old, where she and Ella and their mom were flying out to San Diego for a Mark O'Connor Strings conference where I was teaching. And so they were sitting on that side of the plane, and her mom and I actually had a row. And she was like, I don't know what's gotten into my kids. They're interested in all this fiddling, and I don't know what to do. What should I do? And I had no idea that later, so fast forward to 10 years or so, and Minnie would be getting her master's. And Minnie, I just want to say, just seeing your whole journey across that time, and coming to Berklee, turning down a full scholarship to Belmont because Belmont was not Berklee, and doing your utmost to get into global jazz as an undergraduate, and then the master's, and just seeing you come into your own and fighting, every step of the way. I'm just floored because it's been a while since I've heard some of your original compositions, but just to hear how everything's worked out, the arrangements, your voice so clear, and using your music to social justice. Justice for birds is still a form of social justice, and of course, justice for the environment impacts all of humanity. But the other thing that really impressed me, which I don't think would have happened had we not had to be remote, was just the development of your technological and production skills. Because you've always been someone who's pure about live performance and everything, and just to see you out of necessity developing those skills to such a high level, and just to amplify Alain's comment, just the sheer effectiveness of the way your handwriting and your animations just really added a human element that no PowerPoint in the world can have. It also, just to see that this is something that is consistent. I remember before your audition where I was just kind of talking you through what happens in the interview, and was just saying, is there anything unique about yourself that, would be specifically you? And you just paused a second and said, well, I raise ducks, and just to see that. And I said, well, you know what? You're probably the only person who's going to say that. And I don't think either one of us had any idea that, fast forward 5 years or so, and you would be, doing a master's thesis, really just about waking us up to a really severe environmental crisis, But so, I think there's been a lot of consistency. You've always been humble, always committed to excellence, always worked harder than anybody else, always made tremendous strides. But the other thing that's been a joy is there's been so many things that I wouldn't have anticipated or couldn't guess. And, I really think anything is possible for you. It was also just very moving over the summer to see you and some global jazz colleagues where, you were playing an outdoor concert and a lot of us had tuned in. And I think we were just kind of so happy to see live jazz music happening outdoors, even if people were masked and 6 feet apart. And I think the other thing that was moving to me was, I know everybody performing could have used a paycheck for that, but you were doing it as a benefit and a fundraiser, and just that heart is amazing, and I'll look forward to talking with you and really thinking about next steps in the future and seeing what develops. But I know you're going to have a huge impact on this world, and it will be a better place because of you. So it's been a joy to watch the journey, and congratulations. Beautiful, beautiful work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you for tuning in. It's great to have you here with us today in this celebration. Minnie, before I pass the word to the next committee, I want to make a comment and a question. The comment is, I agree with everything that Alan and Alain and Dave said, and I want just to add that and I told you this, but I want to repeat it. When I see your music and I see your collage and I see everything, to me, the word that comes to my mind is Minnie. Everything you do is Minnie. You have such a strong personality. Your music sounds like you. This video looked like you. And I appreciated Alan say cute and powerful. And I think this really, in a way, is so much of your, charm and what you do in music and as a person. So I think this is a great quality of yours and this personality that you put in this amazing work that we saw. The question is, can you talk a little bit about that beautiful singer that has still not applied to the Institute and who she is and everything?
That's my sister Ella. It's my sister Ella. But I think the word I'm so sorry to say this, I'm being totally honest, but I think maybe she doesn't want to apply now that I was in it, because she says, it seems like a lot of work. but she's, I think that me being home and doing all this remotely has made her a little cold feet about applying. But I'm still telling her that she needs to do it. She needs to do it. I mean, I've yeah, she is totally instrumental to this whole process, and she's played violin. She's on one of the tracks, and then she's yeah, she did all the singing, including the choral frog part. So it's 100% Ella singing on this. Yeah,
Okay.
couldn't have done it without her.
Okay, Ella, we'll find a way of convincing you somehow. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Any other comment from the committee or the teacher? Bruno, please.
Yes. Hi, Minnie. Congratulations. That was truly amazing, an amazing journey. Very, very moved by it on a very deep level. The music, the artwork, the slides, everything. The whole thing was like really, really fantastic. And everybody has said so many things that was so spot on. I'm going to piggyback on Alain a little bit about the naivete. That it's hard to find words to describe that, but there's a certain directness in what you say and what you play. There's like no nonsense, and it's very simple, and it's so true, and therefore it really communicates straight to your heart. And you could use naivete or childish or cute or whatever that is, but we all still are children in some ways, and it communicates with us. But I want to talk about the tremendous work you've done, because I think about a year ago we met a couple of times in my office hours, and so I heard the embryo to some of these pieces. I think this first one especially I remember that we worked on. I can't remember which one it was, but at the time you were just getting started or composing like this, and I remember one meeting we had like in the January, probably at 5 in the evening or something like that. It was dark, and you look out the window, staring out the window for a long time, and then you started yawning, and you said, I'm just going to move back to Texas and play fiddle music. And I was like,
really, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Do you remember? Do you remember?
I really don't remember that.
Yeah. And I looked at you and I said, do you realize that you were already bored just from saying that? Like that you're going to just go back and do what you did, that you can do so great and not try anything new, kind of thing. So I think the whole project felt like mountainous to you, and I said, look, you're already bored, just from saying that, or maybe I bored you, I don't know, but
No.
but anyway, but I think for me, I recognized myself in a moment, because along this journey being a musician, many times I felt I'm just going to move back home to the farm and be a farmer, Anyway, but your music is so original, and as I listen to it, I get all these, like, one moment it's like a Bartok string quartet or a pop tune or a jazz tune, and then all the Texas fiddling stuff is in there somehow. Anyway, I'm really, really, really speechless about it. Thank you so much, Minnie, and
Thank you.
Keep spreading the message and doing great things. Thank you.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you, Bruno. Any other comment or question for Minnie? Maestro Lovano, I see you approaching.
Yes, Minnie, fantastic. Congratulations. That felt so good and was fun. The songbirds and the songs that the birds sing. Nature, how inspiring that is for all of us when you feel it and experience that influence, and how it came out in your music, man, in your drawings. Wow, that was really amazing. It was fantastic the way you put all that together with your compositions. And your playing was like you were the flowing, singing sound that you created, plus the plucking, rhythmic moments that were in the music were really powerful and strong and beautiful. The night soundscape, that piece, that moment, I really felt like nature's spirit in that, and the whole hope with action also, There's a lot of potential for growth and presentation, doing concerts and really promoting the awareness of all these things. Because with everybody, like everyone is a mentor, and you're going to be spreading the word from your life experiences, and you are just a natural, beautiful spirit. And it was just great to work with you these last years and see your development, hear your development on your instrument within all those different ensembles that we were together in, as well as our lessons and playing in duets. And starting at the last semesters, hearing some of your compositions, So yeah, carry on and tell your story, just like you just did. That was really fantastic, beautiful. Bless you, man.
Thank you so much. It's been such an honor to be able to study with you these past few years. It really has.
Thank you, man. Well, I've been studying with you too.
Yes, exactly. Minnie. So, wow, I'm just thinking about hearing all this stuff that's going on. And I'm thinking about our private lessons. That first time you brought music and you wrote a piece that had a fiddle on it. And I said, Minnie, that's the direction. And you look at me like this. I wonder what he's talking about. And I'm gonna miss that. We just had an intense experience. It wasn't like this relationship like, okay, here am I, the teacher or professor, you gotta listen to me. You always had your violin on the corner ready to go forward, like, I'm gonna miss all of that energy you brought to the table. I see Alex here, and I wanna thank Alex Hargrave for really introducing me to Minnie. I remember he was playing with me when I got to hear your name. And wow, you are a perfect example of how, if the education is well directed and if provides the platform for the student to develop to this place that you have, you can witness this. You are a perfect example of why we all, as a artist, mentor, teacher, want to do what we do. A perfect example to continue the work, challenging us. Look what you just did. You just interconnected music and climate change with a very inviting and direct proposal. I agree with everything it says, very direct. This is something my daughters can watch, my 10 years old can watch, and my parents can watch. And you're communicating a sense of urgency about climate crisis by combining love and care for the birds that you have, that I've been hearing you talk about it for a while. It has power. Yeah, it has emotion. And not only that, but you also discover your talents as a composer and has gone deep into a player as you inspire all of us to think about our life and our relationship with nature. And actually, I'm already thinking about all the symphony, since the pandemic. I agree with Alan. I've been hearing a lot of symphonies from birds now. They were gone, but since the pandemic, they're back again. So very creative project. Education can be sedating sometimes. and you just keeping activating that power. Like, what do we do with the information we have? How do we become a better human being? How do we use our gift to make contributions to society? One question I'm taking with me, when I'm gonna think about it. You said, what do birds do for us? And it's making me think, what do we do for them? Since birds are the indicators of environmental health, they can tell you when something is not right in our ecosystem. I have a lot of work to do. Thank you for the wonderful music. I even love the way you delay that, go into that G major, like, you delay in one slide, and then when the next slide came in, it's just so perfect. Thank you. I'm gonna miss you, and all of the above. You have been a testimony to all the work that we do, and thanks again for so much learning and teaching that you also taught us, that you share with us.
Thank you.
Minnie, do you have any last comment or emotion or anything you want to share with us today? The presentation.
I mean, it's so nice to see so many people here that have helped me over the past decade and a half. But yeah, it's been such an incredible experience for me to be in Global. I'm so grateful to everyone who took a chance on me before I really knew much about jazz. So yeah, I really appreciate it, and I'm just really grateful for all of y'all.
Congratulations, Minnie. Congratulations on a beautiful journey and a beautiful end of the journey.